everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out. And please don't forget to leave a comment because I want to read what you have to say. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about fear. The fear you have, the fear you live with when you are with a narcissistic person. So as I get closer to getting my divorce from my ex, I'm starting to notice fear creeping in. At the beginning of the summer, I told you that I was going to get a divorce from my ex. I was going to file for divorce at the end of the summer. Now that it's the end of the summer, I'm starting to get nervous. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm not going to file for divorce. I absolutely am. I can't wait. I can't wait to be done with this person. But I feel a little bit different than I did at the beginning of the summer. At the beginning of the summer, I was gung-ho. I was ready to go. Joe was basically holding me back. Now that it's so close, I'm really noticing fear creep in. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video, the fear that you have, especially if you're a woman around a narcissist. Now, this also goes for men too, but I am speaking from a female perspective. My ex is a lot bigger than I am. He has power to physically assault me in a way that I just couldn't do to him. My ex is more than double my size, and he has physically assaulted me in the past. So now that I'm close to getting the divorce, I'm getting worried about what he might do, and I'm going to talk about that today. A little brief synopsis of my relationship is that my ex has physically abused me before. He has given me several black eyes. He's broken my nose. He's bruised me on other areas of my body. He has been violent in the past. He hasn't been that way for quite some time, but I know it's in him to do this. He also has had access to weapons, and I think that there were 2 times during my relationship, 2 recent times in the relationship, where he might have been about ready to hurt my family. The first time was in August of 2019. He had been keeping a bunch of secrets from me, and he was found in the middle of the night, passed out, right up the street from my house with a loaded gun with 3 to 4 clips with him. So he had 30 to 40 bullets. He was passed out drunk in the car. Somebody saw him and he was brought to a mental hospital. I don't know what he was going to do. What was he going to do if somebody hadn't seen him? What was he going to do? Was he going to stumble into the house drunk? Was he going to shoot us? I don't know. It was thought he was going to kill himself. That's what the police said. I never bought that. I never thought that it was true. He went along with it, but I just don't think that that's true. I think that after he was keeping all these secrets from me, I think he might have been planning to hurt us. However, I'll never know, but that, I call that divine intervention. Happened again the last day we were together. It was December of 2019, and he came home from work and gave me a silent treatment. Now, my ex has been giving me silent treatments for the entirety of our relationship, so almost 2 decades. I've always put up with it. It happened to be this one time. I couldn't take it. I could not take it that day. I kicked him out of the house, and he started getting abusive. Now, he got abusive to himself. He was banging his head against the wall, but then he tried to get me arrested. So this man, my husband, tried to get me arrested for something he did. And on top of that, he did it in front of witnesses. He did it in front of his kids. So in front of his kids, he was hurting himself, and then he was screaming and yelling in front of his kids at the police that they wouldn't arrest me. He didn't care. This is the stability level of this person. So he was dragged out of the house by the police. However, I didn't know until the next week that this same man stopped paying all bills. He wasn't paying the mortgage. He was paying nothing, electric, nothing. I was getting foreclosure notices. I was getting notices that my power was going to be cut off. This was my husband. So this is the things that he did after he tried to get me arrested falsely. So I don't know what he was going to do. You hear these stories. I don't think it's an exaggeration for me to tell you when you hear stories about people who kill their entire families because they're keeping all these financial secrets. That's exactly what my husband was doing. He had no idea that I would end the marriage that day. In fact, I feel like God did that for me because there was just something about that day. I can't even explain it. I was given silent treatments for so long. There was one point my ex my husband, I live with this person, didn't speak to me for 7 months, and I didn't kick him out of the house. This one time he came home and I couldn't tolerate it. It just was unacceptable. I didn't think I was going to make it through the night if I had to endure one more silent treatment. And that happened to be the same week that I found out that he hadn't paid any bills. So he was out of the house when I discovered this. What was he going to do? So it's very scary. So today we've been separated for a year and a half. He is under the impression that we're going to get back together. Now, I've never told him this, but I know he thinks this. He believes this. Throughout the summer, I have been getting my house ready so that when I tell him that I'm going to get the divorce, I'm ready to get out of the house as soon as possible because I know he's going to make life difficult for me. This is the thing you can be assured of when you're with a narcissist. They're not somebody who cares about you. Never. At the best day in your relationship, they haven't cared about you. So on the worst days, they're going to hate you. A narcissist doesn't feel positive emotions. Everything's negative. They feel hate. They feel anger. That's the type of thing that they feel. They can't look at your relationship and think, well, this is my wife, or these are my children, or I did do them wrong. I wasn't the greatest husband. I wasn't the greatest father. They don't see that. They see that you are not accepting who they want you to pretend that they are, essentially. When I was with my ex, he did everything possible to make me feel bad about myself. He wanted me to feel like I had no power. Narcissists steal your identity. They really do. It's almost like your brain is like Play-Doh, and they have control over your brain. So they'll squish it between their fingers and pull it apart and rip it. They manipulate you, so you don't have a clear view of who you are. Now, I can tell you, being away from my ex for a year and a half, I now am a completely different person. So when I think back to the person that I was, I don't relate to her. I don't know her. I do, I remember, but I'm such a different person now. When you are with a narcissist, you are infected by their disease. They take control of you. They're almost like a parasite, and they're worming their way into your brain and changing all your perception of yourself. Once you're out, once you're free, you see the truth. So I was in this jail cell, essentially. I didn't know that it was open. The whole time it was open. A narcissist doesn't see themselves in reality. They see themselves however they want to see them. They do see you. They know who you are, but they have to convince you that you're different than you really are. That's how they control you. Nobody can control you if you're assertive, if you're confident. They have to they have to break you down, and that's what they do. So my ex, I wasn't working when we were together. He made me believe that I couldn't get a job. In fact, people didn't like me. He would tell me all the time. So it was going to be impossible for me to get a job. I just had to stay with him. Basically, I was dependent on him for my survival. It wasn't true, but I believed it. So this is the type of person that I'm dealing with. In a lot of ways, I think narcissists are insane. Now, I know clinically a psychologist or a psychiatrist might tell you that they're not insane, but a definition of insane, or the definition I saw, was it's a state of mind which prevents normal perception, behavior, or social interaction. So if that isn't somebody who is a narcissist, who is? So this is what you're dealing with narcissism. So you're dealing with somebody that purposely manipulates you, doesn't mind if you're hurting. My ex tried to get me arrested. I believe he was going to kill me and our children. And this same person believes that we're going to be together forever, that we're going to have this wonderful reunion. When he discovers that we're not, this is what I'm starting to get afraid of. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the precautions that I'm taking, and talk to you about maybe some of the things that are happening in your life as well. When you're with somebody like this, the end of the relationship is the most dangerous time. Because if a narcissist acts crazy when they have you, imagine what they're going to do when they have nothing to lose, when they think they're going to never be with you again. Narcissists don't look at relationships as being an equal thing. They consider themselves owning you. You're their possession, and you better do what they say. My ex wants me to take him back. He puts up with me not taking him back. And the thing is, I don't even know why he does, but he does. So I'm taking it for now. I think he's thinking he's doing this great thing by not pushing himself onto the house. However, what he has done several times is try to scare me. He'll randomly show up at the house. So I live in this house alone with the kids. I did change all the locks. If you are separated from a narcissist, change all the locks. It did cost me $600 to do it, but it was worth it. If you're with a narcissist, you can never trust this person. Change every single lock. They will come into the house. They will scare you. I have 40 acres of woods behind me. What my ex has done several times is he'll show up in the woods at night, and it has like this flashlight, and he'll be walking around behind the woods so we can see this flashing in the backyard. So I didn't know it was him at first doing this. I found out later, and he admitted it. I asked him. I was like, were you at the house the other night? Because we saw somebody with a flashlight. Oh, yeah, it was me. I was just making sure everything was okay. I was just, keeping track of things, making sure that you and the kids were safe. No, he wasn't. He was making sure that we were afraid of him. He also, during COVID, what he used to do, because he was supposed to stay away from the house. After he tried to get me arrested, the police told me to get a restraining order. So I was talking to this lawyer about getting a restraining order. And the lawyer told me that I shouldn't have a problem getting the restraining order. And then my ex said that he would voluntarily stay away from the house. He wouldn't come by the house. I didn't have to worry about it. The house was mine. So she told me at that point, if he's volunteering to stay away from the house, you're likely not going to get a restraining order. And that put me in a bad position, because if I went ahead and tried to get the restraining order and failed, I've bolstered him now. Now he knows there's nothing I can do, and he can just come right back whenever he wants to. So I voluntarily said I wouldn't get the restraining order because he said he wasn't going to come to the house. So what he started doing with COVID is coming to the house. So he would come to the yard, and he would always have some gift with him. So he would bring paper towels or toilet paper or something like that, and he'd be looking in the windows and scaring the kids and I. But we couldn't do anything about it because if I knew he would bring these gifts with him. So if I called the police and said, my ex is at the house scaring us, he's looking in the windows, what's he doing? Well, he brought some toilet paper over. I knew I could not say, because I knew him. I knew what he was going to say. He was going to say, I brought toilet paper over. I brought paper towels. I was just making sure everything was okay. I thought I saw something in the house. I wanted to make sure everybody was all right. I didn't try to get in. I was just looking in. I just wanted to bring my family toilet paper. I love my family. This is the type of thing that they do. They are really mentally ill. And when this is you, you're stuck, and you know you're stuck because they're manipulating the system, and you look crazy if I went on and on. No, I know what he's doing. He's trying to scare me. He's trying to make me go crazy. This is what he's trying to do. I look crazy. So there are real realities to this. So my ex hasn't bothered us too much lately, but what he's been doing in the last few months is now he's acting like nothing happened between us at all. So he's sending me these texts, and I think he does this on purpose so that it looks good in court. Like, he'll send me these texts, and it'll say things like, I hope you have a great day. I hope you and the kids had a great night. What are you doing tonight? I miss you. That type of thing. He's setting me up. Like, I know this. So I'm stuck responding to him civilly, because I can't say anything rude to him, because if I do, he's going to have this all documented. So I have to respond to him. Things like, I'm fine, thanks. Hope you're well, because I don't want him to go off. You live afraid when you're with this person. I have had to be in this terrible position with my ex, where I've mentioned in other videos, every 2 weeks he gets paid. He gives me money out of his paycheck, which he's supposed to. He does have responsibilities to me and his children. I was a stay-at-home wife. There is such a thing as that. However, if I do not do exactly what he wants, he's going to cut me off and force me to go to court. And then it's going to be a whole trauma, and he's going to put the house into foreclosure. I've anticipated this all summer, but I'm trying to get myself in the best possible position. He never volunteers that he's going to give me money. I have to ask him each time. It gives him a power trip. This is who these people are. You can never trust a narcissist. So my advice to you, and this is what I'm doing, because now that I'm close to getting the divorce, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what he's going to do. He's not going to have anything to lose once he finds out. So I know this might seem extreme to some people. I live in New Hampshire. I'm an advocate of the Second Amendment. I have a gun. I have 2 guns. I sleep with a gun next to my bed. I have a gun in another area of my house, because if he causes me any harm, I will shoot him. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to have to shoot anybody, but I have a right to defend myself and I have a right to defend my children. Do not mess around with a narcissist. Be very wary. If you can get a restraining order, that will help. Granted, a restraining order doesn't stop them completely, but it offers you some protection because at least you can take action on it. At least they're not supposed to be at your house. Have a weapon and don't be afraid to use it. I go to a gun range. I know how to shoot a gun. I'm not crazy with a gun. I'm very responsible with it. I have 2 kids to protect. I am a single woman living at home with 40 acres of woods behind me and a crazy ex. I'm not taking chances with my kids. For the entirety of my marriage, and I was with this person for almost 20 years, I let this person abuse me because I didn't know any better, because I didn't think highly of myself. I thought that I couldn't do any better. I thought that without him, I would be nothing. In the meantime, I found out that he's $100,000 in debt. He wasn't paying bills. He was not responsible at all. He has nothing to lose. I have things to lose. I have 2 kids. I have a future I want to live. He doesn't have that. He has nothing to lose. If that's your situation, don't ever, ever underestimate what that does to somebody when they don't have anything to lose and they're already a little bit nutty to begin with because there's something wrong with you if you're a narcissist. Do not be afraid to defend yourself. When I get this divorce, I'm going to be free. But in the meantime, I realize I'm still under his control to a degree, and I have to exert all the power that I can. Do not be afraid to call the police and tell them what's going on. The police in my town know what's going on. I've gone to the police. I went with my pastor to the police. I've spoken to the police. They do drive-bys by my house on a regular basis so that I will feel safe. They'll do that. They'll do that. If you tell the police that you're afraid, they will do what they can to protect you. They have spoken to my ex and told him that they're watching the house. Make sure that you're not afraid to do things like that. Keep yourself safe. Do not stay with somebody that you're afraid of because you think it's going to be worse if you leave. The reality is that they have only the power you give them. But if it's a man, especially, or if it's a woman and she has access to weapons, that's a reality too. You can't live in fear of this person, but you have to take precautions. You have to understand what they're capable of. My ex, if I have to meet with him for any reason, I only meet with him at a public area. He's wanted to come over to the house several times. I never allow him over to the house. I always meet with him at a public area. Make sure you tell people what's going on. I've told people for a long time in my relationship, I kept stuff secret. I didn't tell anybody anything. That's not the way it is now. I have told several people what's going on. So if something happens, they'll know who he is. I've also spoken to my kids. Now, I don't tell my kids everything that I'm really afraid of, but they know if they see their father, they need to tell me right away under any circumstances. You are in a dangerous position. And I'm not saying something's going to go wrong, but always looming in the back of my mind is Chris Watts. He's the man who killed his pregnant wife and his little girls and put them in those oil tanks. He seemed like a nice guy. My ex doesn't seem like a nice guy. Your ex might not seem like a nice guy. Imagine if this was you, like you have the nice guy and you have no idea. Sometimes there's no way for you to know. If you have any inkling, it is never a mistake to take every precaution possible. Until you are totally free of this person, you are under their control to a degree. So you have to exert as much control as possible. They're afraid of you, essentially. They're afraid that you're gonna find out that you actually are the one who has control. So never be afraid to do whatever you have to do. A weapon if you feel comfortable. Get the police involved, definitely. Tell people, get a restraining order if it's appropriate, but speak to a lawyer first. You don't have to talk to a lawyer to get a restraining order. It is well worth it to talk to a lawyer because if you don't get the restraining order, you have bolstered the narcissist. I'm so sorry if this is your position. I really feel for you. This is my position too, and I am doing everything I can to get out. I have a future ahead of me, so do you. Just remember, a narcissist doesn't. Now, one thing I try to do is I personally have a strong faith in God. God has helped me in my relationship. He's the one that got me out of the relationship. I wouldn't have left my ex that day in December when he had hurt him, if he hadn't hurt himself. Something in me couldn't tolerate the silent treatment anymore. And that was exactly the same week that he stopped paying all these bills, or that I found out he stopped paying all these bills. It wasn't the same week he stopped paying them, but that was the week I found out. I don't know what would have happened. So I'm telling you that this is a true story. Because that happened, I know that God is on my side. So what I'm trying to do is use God's word as my compass. I'm using God as my strength. I am depending on him to get me out. If you believe in God, keep yourself in prayer. And remember, he will help you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm very, very grateful. I want everybody to stay safe and know that at the end of the day, you can do this. We have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to be their victim forever. At some point, we have to take a stand so that we can live our life. And that's what I'm doing now. I keep you updated. I tell you what I'm doing every Friday is where I give you the update on what's happening in real time in my divorce. Pretty soon, I'm going to tell you that I filed for divorce. That's coming right up. So I'm nervous, but I feel okay. I feel I'm ready for this. I have to do this for my kids, for me, for everybody. So thank you for watching this video. Please keep my family in your prayers. I keep all of you in my prayers every day. I pray for everybody who watches my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Like I said, please like the video. I will see you on Monday with Joe. Should be a great video. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet, but it's always fun to talk with Joe, and I'm excited that you guys all like him on the channel. So I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. God bless.